Welcome back to Garden Talk, brought to you by the Penn State Erie County Extension Master Gardeners. I'm your co-host for today, Mike Bailey, and I'm here along with Ellen DePlacido. Welcome back from your vacation, Ellen. We missed you.
I know, I missed you too, but not enough to come back early.
Surprise.
Yeah.
But it was good weather in Florida.
Perfect.
Okay.
Actually, they were having warmer than normal weather, too.
Okay, fine. Okay. In your absence, I struggled.
Okay.
We talked about,
right.
we talked about standard gardening approaches and mounding and raised beds.
Oh, okay.
But I told everybody that I wasn't going to touch container gardening because that was your baby. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm going to let you jump right in and proceed with that.
Okay. Well, I think we want to start out with explaining that anybody can use the principle of container gardening, but you want to make sure that your containers that you use, which you can choose anything you desire, have the right size, drainage, and soil. Okay, because that's the way you're going to be successful.
Yeah, good point.
Okay. Size is really, really important. Some folks might choose containers that are too small. And small containers cause your plants to become root bound, and they'll probably dry out faster and won't be too successful.
Yeah, you're right. They might do well for a month,
Mm-hmm.
but after that, things are just going to start to go downhill because you get to that point where you talked about they get larger and they get root bound.
Right. And if you do select a larger container and you don't want to use all that soil, you can always add material to the bottom of that container. Like we crush up some plastic bottles, or you could even put some rocks in the bottom of that container. But you want to make sure then that you have drainage in that container. So whatever you put in the bottom, don't clog your drain holes. If you don't have proper drainage for that container, your soil is going to hold water, and plants do not thrive well in soggy soil.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, and anytime I buy a new container, I always look for drainage holes, and if they're not there, I get out the drill.
Right.
Okay, with
Make
quarter
your own.
inch or a half-inch drill bit, and I drill a variety of different holes in there to make sure that it's going to drain properly.
And we talk about that for our regular garden. You don't want your plants standing in soggy soil all the time. And also make sure that your soil is light, that it gets air and moisture through it. Don't put garden soil into your container. The water's going to sit there, and your roots will not be able to expand.
Yeah, that garden soil just isn't light enough for that particular application. It'll get really hard on you if it dries out.
And sometimes you can make your own potting soil.
Yes, absolutely.
You don't necessarily have to go to the garden center and buy an expensive bag of potting soil, but just don't put garden soil into your containers.
Okay. Unless you mix it with a lot of peat moss and other organic material.
So what are some of the pros that we talk about as far as container gardening? Well, I think a lot of you would think, well, I don't have room for a garden, but you can plant a small little container garden. Okay, you could add some vegetables like your lettuce and spinach, your greens, even some small tomato plants you can put in a container, but you can place those on a patio or a deck. You don't have to have a large green space to have a small garden if you want to use containers. And you can move containers around. If one side of your house becomes too sunny, just move that container, and you can move it around anytime during your season if you need to. And a lot of times your container gardens are easier to control pests. Like you can pick off those aphids and those little spider mites that might be eating your plants. So it's a lot easier to control pests.
You're right. Sometimes the rabbits and the deer can't get to them either.
Yeah. You can. Some of the cons, I guess the initial expense of starting a container garden might be a little bit difficult for some folks, but once you have that container, it'll last you forever. You do have to kind of look at them every day to day, to make sure that they haven't dried out and that the plants aren't getting too large for that container. And sometimes you might want to have to take them out of the wind.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. A good point, Ellen. A good
wind
point.
and
Yeah.
sun. I don't know. Can you think of anything else?
Well, you've covered it really well, and I'll bet that you have some containers around the house, that you could probably use for this particular application. But what you don't want to do, and I'll point this out real quickly, is like what we've seen some people do or heard from people is that they buy a plant from the store in these a green plastic container, and it looks and they try to leave it there for the growing season. It doesn't work. No. It'll do well for 3 or 4 weeks, but after that, things will start to go downhill on you. So be careful that don't try to that pot was not designed for all season growing.
And that's what we're talking about. Make sure your container is large enough for that plant's roots. Otherwise, it's going to become root bound.
Right. The key to the whole thing. Ellen, looks like we've used our time for today. Okay. So, thank you for listening. And next time we're going to continue on a different topic. Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.